Hello, welcome to another bookish video from me, Johanna, me, my dog and books. Grab a cuppa as I go into an epic book haul with you, most of which, I've just remembered there's another two to add to the pile, most of which are library books, book subscriptions, ARCs, or exchanges I made for a book I'd pre-ordered at Waterstones. First up, I'm going to hit you with my and skip through until you don't see these three if you subscribe to Abominable Horror book subscription, because I've got this month's books which literally just arrived this morning. So we'll always get two new books, a new book and like an indie, as well as a second hand. Like, it comes with a stamp. So I'm going to literally open this one here with you because I don't know what this is. This is always the second hand one. I kind of feel like I need to cut the... This one is a thriller. It's not a horror. I don't think I've read this one. Have I? I'll need to check my Goodreads. I can't remember. I'll check it when I'm editing this. So future me will let you know, have I read this? It's Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. Paula Hawkins wrote Girl on the Train, which I actually really liked back in the day. And then Slow Fire Burning, didn't like so much. So if I haven't read it, I'll keep it on the thriller list. Can't go wrong with a good thriller, especially this time of year. Then I ordered something second hand. Nintendo Switch Lite. And I've just plugged it in. I think that was the noise. I have no idea what I'm doing. 2 seconds. Slightly distracted by that. Had to just set up an account. I bought it second hand on Vinted, and it was supposed to come with Animal Crossing. It came with a case and a plug and the device, and it's all very good and the device works, so that's great. But I can't find Animal Crossing. Like, it's not on the device. I'd assume that would need to be linked to the online store. And I can't find it in the case. So, I mean, this is my first ever Switch. So I might be doing something blatantly wrong. So anyway, I've messaged them on Vinted. They were very helpful, so maybe they've just forgot to put it in. So, the 2 new horror books. Actually, I've got 4 new horror books in the mix. There might be one in the mix from the charity shop library. This one just came in. Look at this cover. It's called The Dead Take. I didn't know the title and I was trying to read it. The Dead Take the Train. Oh. By Cassandra, Khaw and Richard Kadrey. So I've got their signatures here. I have no idea what this is about. V.E. Schwab blurbs it. I love The Dead Take the A-Train. It's the A-Train. Strange, visceral urban fantasy with a horror bent. Oh, this is a duology, I think. The first explosive adventure in the Carrion City duology. Don't mind the duology, I'm not very good at committing to a long series. Julie Cruz is a coked up, burnt out 30-something who packs a lot of magic into her small body. She's been trying to establish herself in NYC magic scene. And I'm not really into magic. I mean, like witches and stuff, but like if people do card tricks, sort of magic. Anyway, and she'll work the most gruesome gigs to claw her way to the top. Julie is desperate for a quick career boost to break the dead-end grind, but her pleas draw the attention of Eldritch God, who is hungry for revenge. Her power grabs set off deadly chain of events, and puts her closest friends in the entire world directly in the path of annihilation. Titan Books, one of my favourite horror publishers. Lucy A. Snyder and Hayley Piper give it good blurbs here. An addictive, sprawling yarn, the city brims with underhanded dealings and odd magic, and every corner writhes with fresh horrors and delight. I mean, if we go by looking at the cover, it's pretty mental in a good way. Then the next one, I've seen this in the bookshops recently. It's called Delicate Condition by Danielle Valentine. So, trigger warning as I read a wee bit of this synopsis because it's about IVF, so skip ahead if you don't want to hear that. But it does say, the feminist update to Rosemary's Baby we all needed, and perfectly terrifying and terrifyingly perfect, says Janice Hallett. I wanted this baby so badly, but she may be the death of me. Well, this is from Viper Books, who are another great, are they UK? Can't remember. Another great publisher that I really like. So you've basically got the main character, Anna, and she's desperate to have a child and is going through IVF. But she believes that someone is trying to mess with that mission of hers. As medicines are lost and appointments are moved. She's convinced she's being followed, and when she finally gets pregnant, someone steals the precious ultrasound photograph of her baby. But despite everything she's going through, not even her husband is willing to believe that someone is playing twisted games with her. You know, if I'm getting Rosemary Babies vibes, I kind of don't even want to know where this goes. As her symptoms, then the doctors tell her she's lost the baby. Despite her grief, Anna ignores them. So there's obviously quite a lot of content warnings here for anyone around pregnancy, child loss, etc. But Anna ignores them because she can still feel the baby. Okay, that's all I want to know. And this sounds terrifying, but also like with a really good feminist vibe. So those, well, actually I'll jump ahead to the other two. So I read A Way to Go. What a Way to Go? What a Way to Go by Bella Mackie. It started really well. I liked the kind of, I like Bella Mackie's writing. I liked the vibes of like really rich people, big opulent 60th birthday party for one of the main characters, Anthony, and he dies on his birthday, and then he goes into the other world kind of in limbo until he can't rest until he knows how he died, or like we know how he died, but if it was like murder or not. Anyway, so it all started off well, and I liked the kind of different POVs from his annoyingly rich family members, and then you had a true crime podcaster, like a YouTuber, who was wanting to follow up and become like really famous YouTube sleuth. And that was all very interesting, and then it just dragged, and eventually I was like, I actually don't care who killed you, if they killed you, and what happens at the end. So I skimmed it. Anyway, I'd forgotten that I'd had it on eARC, and I thought, I like Bella Mackie's other books, so I'll pre-order it and have the physical copy. Well, instant regret about that, but I took it back to Waterstones and exchanged it for two new horror books. Two that have been on my TBR forever. And the first one was A Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. And this, I believe, is, I think it's like a ghost story. St. Vincent Orphanage for Boys, turn of the century in a remote valley in Pennsylvania. Here, under the watchful eyes of several priests, 30 boys work, learn and worship. Peter Barlow, orphaned as a child by gruesome murder, has made a new life here. As he approaches adulthood, he has friends, a future and a family. Then late one stormy night, a group of men arrive at their door, one of whom is badly wounded, occult symbols carved into his flesh. His death releases an ancient evil that spreads like sickness, infecting St. Vincent's and the children within it. Oh, then it sounds like it goes a wee bit like Lord of the Flies. Oh, I had no idea what this was about. This sounds like a good one for like stormy night, for like autumn, winter reading for sure. Anyway, it's by a publisher that I'm not familiar with, Orbit, so let me know if any of you have read this. This is a Bram Stoker Award nominated author, and this was their debut novel. Then, because I've got the other book, which I haven't read, Brainworms, I had to obviously, so I did have this out of the library, and I never got to reading it. And then there was a hold on it, and I always feel guilty. We don't get charged late fees anymore, which is terrible. Well, it's not as good for me, but not so amazing for the libraries, but it's also good for those that can't afford late fees, etc. So none of our libraries in Scotland, I don't think, any of the ones in Scotland charge late fees. So I could have just held on to it, but I get the guilties when people have got it reserved. So it's Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. And see, when I read the kind of, so Julia Armfield has a bit of blurb on it. Holds a gruesome mirror up to the way it feels to live now. I absolutely tore through this book. So when I tell you a little bit, it says, a dark, unflinching haunted house novel. There we go, there's a haunted house wreck. That takes readers from the well of the literary Gothic up through Brighton's queer scene, a queer scene in Brighton, and out into the heart of modern day trans experience. Okay, this is ticking all the boxes for me, so having it. If you've read Alison Rumfitt, let me know, because that would be good to know. So those are all books that sorry, let's move my cup. Those are all books I've got through my subscription, or I just did a straight, because the book I got was a hardback. I managed to get 2 paperbacks for it. Oh, and it wasn't quite the exact price, so I got myself a bookmark. Then, as you know, well, you know, you won't know because you've not seen it yet. Hold on, taking the stickies off. I was at the charity shops at the weekend, which will be coming up in my weekend reading vlog very soon. 2 days from now. No, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days from now. And I picked up 2 books from the charity shop. And weirdly one, do you know how when you see a book and then you've never heard of it before and then immediately you see it again? I'll explain in a minute. Because it relates to one of my library books. So, I can't remember what charity shop I saw this one. Because I picked up The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne when I was down in Harrogate. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's much as fun. It was much as fun. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to pick up, I spotted this one by him called All the Broken Places. So I love A Ladder to the Sky. I don't think I've ever read The Boy in Striped Pyjamas. And I have a feeling I'm just going to like more of his writing. So I took a gamble and I thought I'm going to get another one. It says, Gretel Fernsby is a quiet woman leading a quiet life. She doesn't talk about her escape from Germany 70 years ago, or the dark post-war years in France with her mother. Most of all, she doesn't talk about her father, the commandant of one of the most notorious Nazi concentration camps. Beautifully told and gripping from the first page to the last. I'm not going to read the whole blurb for you, but you can get the vibes. So that seems like another good read. It sounds like he certainly has a thing with, not a thing, but certainly has, at least with Boy with Striped Pyjamas, and obviously this one is about the Second World War. Then, weirdly, now I can't remember if I spoke to you about this or another video, but this is one of the library books I've got out, Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. And I was like, oh, well, Home is Where the Heart Bleeds. Sounds like everything I want to read. And I was like, I don't think I've read anything else by this author. And then I said, oh, look, never heard of that, but it's deemed as Big Little Lies meets Black Mirror. Then what did I see in this charity shop? The Echo Wife. She was perfect, everything he wanted. He made her that way. It was meant to be an evening to honour and celebrate Evelyn Caldwell's award-winning career-making scientific research, but Evelyn has other things on her mind. Things like Nathan, her husband, who has left her for a younger, better, newer woman. A woman who is now pregnant but shouldn't be, and is strikingly familiar, too familiar to be a coincidence. A woman who shouldn't exist. It's actually not that long. Oh, tiny writing. Does anyone else get freaked out? This is why I love my Kindle. 254 pages. So those were the 2 that I got from the charity shop. Well done me. Gifts were given to the charity shop. So although this is an epic haul, I'd just like to caveat it with I barely spent any money because they were like £1.50 each. And the rest, 2 I'm going to show you, are arcs, and then the rest are from the library shop. Library shop. My libraries, my local libraries. The first one is called Friends of Dorothy by Sandi Toksvig. Now, how do I explain who Sandi Toksvig is? I'll use her blurb. She's born in Denmark, but she is quite known for radio and TV presenting in the UK. She was born in Denmark, brought up in Africa, then America, and moved to the UK when she was 14. She's been on British stage, screen, radio for over 40 years and awarded. She is a mother of 3 children, married, and lives deep in the woods. I'd like to live married deep in the woods. So I requested this one so I could do... I don't often do book tours, but I'm doing Pride Book. I quite like some of the Pride Book tours and requested this one because it sounded really wholesome. So in this one, it's called A Touching Funny Novel about family that is not biological but logical. A story close to Sandi Toksvig's heart. It's got an older protagonist, so wait to hear this. After much searching, the happily married young couple Amber and Stevie think they have found the perfect spot in Grimaldi Square. Despite the rundown pub across the way, the overgrown garden and a decidedly nosy neighbour, number 4 is the house of their dreams. Stevie, a woman who has never left anything to chance, has planned everything so nothing can spoil their happiness. But upstairs in their new home, seated on an old red sofa, is the woman they bought the place from, 79-year-old, foul-mouthed, straight-talking, wisecracking Dorothy. I think it was Dorothy that sold this to me, by the way. Who has decided she's not going anywhere. It turns out that Dorothy will be the first in a line of life-changing surprises. This just gave me lovely vibes, and they've got, like, look at the cover. So I think I need to read it and post my review about it in October, so that'll be coming very soon. Then, I don't remember requesting this, so I must have done, but this sounds brilliant, right? It's called The Grand Scheme of Things by Warona J, and it's by Footnote Publishing. I think it's out already. I will confirm for you. So, this is about, well, actually there's a few. It says, American fiction meets Queenie, The Grand Scheme of Things, skewers racism in the arts while humorously and honestly exploring the importance of community and what we'll do for love and success. I couldn't put it down. So you follow 2 characters here. One is called Eddie, but they have, and I'm going to apologise because that there is their full name, but called Eddie for short. But based on their name, they're a playwright, an aspiring playwright who dreams of making it big in London's theatre world, but after repeated rejections from white talent agents, Eddie suspects her non-white sounding name might be the problem. Enter Hugo. Good-looking, well-connected, charismatic and very white. Stifled by his law degree and looking for a way out of the corporate world, he finds a kindred spirit in Eddie after a chance encounter at a cafe. Together they devise a plan, one which will see Eddie's play on stage and Hugo's name in lights. They send out her script under his name and vow to keep the play's origins a secret until it reaches critical levels of success, with hopes to expose the theatre world for its prejudices. But then it says, as their plans spin wildly out of control, Eddie and Hugo find themselves wondering if their reputations and friendship can survive. I wonder if Hugo wants to give up that fame. There's a few people I actually don't... doesn't matter though. The Grand Scheme of Things is a beautiful, funny must-read from the writer who shines the spotlight on theatre in its old-school, elitist ways. It's 5 stars for me. I've not heard of this author before. That's in there. Born in Botswana, raised in the West Midlands in the UK and living in London. She studied law. Shortlisted for the Sony Young Novelist of the Year award. Judged by Mallory Blackman. This is their debut novel. So those are my 2 arcs that I'll be reading very soon, so I can give you reviews on them. Then one of my favourites, my library hauls. So this one I've never heard of. I picked it up because the sound of it and the cover. It is called Sadie Walker is Stranded. The Walking Dead are breaking through. I hope this is not like... Also, like, it's big. It's like a trade paperback. I wish they sold them in the UK. The only place you can get trade paperbacks is UK airports. If you live in Ireland, that's what you get, isn't it? You can get trade paperbacks. I only learned that recently. I'm just Sadie Walker, illustrator. My friend Andrea joked that I took my old job too seriously, that the only job that mattered now was survival. In the months since the outbreak, Seattle has become a walled fortress. The infected are kept at bay and the survivors are trying to scrape back a life. But the city is rife with crime, religious cults and black market dealings, and things are about to get much, much worse. When a group of frustrated fanatics, the repopulationists, destroy part of the wall, zombies start swarming the city. Sadie, devastated by brutal kidnapping of her young nephew, must find them and get them both out before it's too late. But the only escape is by the sea, and she's seen for herself the horrible fate of those who have tried the route before. Epic zombie apocalypse novel. It's the time for zombie apocalypse. Although I would say if you want a zombie apocalypse novel, read World War Z. It's more than just zombies. It's societal commentary. Then I'm obviously feeling in a ghost story mood. It's Dark Matter. Not the other Dark Matter, but this one is a ghost story by Michelle Paver. Now, I thought I'd maybe read this, but I think I've got it out of the library before and then just not, read it. Usual. This one says, the ultimate test of a good ghost story is surely whether you feel panicked. Reading it in bed at midnight. 2/3 way, I found myself suddenly afraid to look out the window. I'll call that a success. That was just a bit of blurb I read. It wasn't an actual synopsis. It's London, 1937. Jack is poor, lonely and desperate to change his life. So when he's offered the chance to join an Arctic expedition, he jumps at it. Spirits are high as the ship leaves Norway as they reach the remote uninhabited bay where they will camp for the next year. If you heard that, it was the OH sneezing. He's a very dramatic sneezer. But Arctic summer is brief. As night returns to claim the land, Jack feels a creeping unease. One by one, his companions are forced to leave. Soon Jack will see the last of the sun, the sea will freeze, and escape will be impossible. Oh, the cold. And then it says, Jack is not alone. Something there walks in the dark. I'm getting ready to creep myself out, clearly. Right, another one. Peter James. I see Peter James books in the library, secondhand bookstores, new books. I have never read a Peter James, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to read a Peter James. Did I do any research? No, because I was in the library and the Wi-Fi's a bit rubbish. So I just punted for one. Well, I did check that I wasn't going in halfway through a series by checking the other novel bits. See there. So picked this one up because the house on Cold Hills sounded creepy, and it said they said the dead can't hurt you. They were wrong. I mean, look at all the books this dude writes. 16 million copies sold, says the marketing people. Moving from the heart of Brighton and Hove, I've been there once, to the Sussex countryside is a big undertaking for Ollie and Carol Harcourt and their 12-year-old daughter Jade. But when they view Cold Hill House, a huge dilapidated Georgian mansion, Ollie is filled with excitement. Despite this financial strain in the move, don't move to a creepy old house that's like a money pit. This does not sound good. Anyway, they've dreamed of living there in the country since he was a child. He sees it as a paradise for his animal-loving daughter, moves in. His wife, less certain about it all. And the teen is grumpy about being separated from her friends. Within days, it becomes apparent the Harcourt family aren't the only residents in the house. And then the haunting becomes malevolent. Haunted house vibes! Then, Ruth Ware. She is, now I wouldn't say an auto-buy, but not often an auto-read author, in that I'll often pick up her books at the charity shop or the library, like said book, because like some thriller authors, I find her books hit or miss. This one's called 0 Days. I have no idea why or what it's about. It says, An adrenaline-fueled thriller about a woman in a race against time to clear her name and find her husband's killer. Hired by companies to break into buildings and hack security systems, Jack and her husband Gabe are the best penetration specialists in the business. But after a routine assignment goes horribly wrong, Jack arrives home to find her husband dead. To add to her horror, the police are closing in on their only suspect, her. So it sounds like it's quite a time-based one. If anyone's read this, let me know. Like, sounds like a thrill-seeking thriller. Thriller. That thing where there's a time goes fast. God, if you're still watching, I'm really sorry. I'm losing the ability to talk to you, aren't I? Well, not really. I never lose the ability to talk to you, but to just basically articulate. So this one, Colm Tóibín, I think that's how you pronounce the name, let me know if I'm wrong, Long Island, was recommended to me by a friend in work's other half, because they know I like books. So I went to the library, well, when I picked it up, I had it on reserve, I picked it up from the library, and the librarian kindly said, oh, I have to, I mean, she kind of said she didn't love the ending as much, which was great, but then said, just didn't love it as much as Brooklyn. And I was like, oh, is this like the second book of, she said, well, Brooklyn is set in and this is like 20 or 30 years later. I don't know how many years later. But I was like, so you kind of need to read Brooklyn first? And she said, probably. So I'm not going to be reading this anytime soon because I'm going to, well, I've reserved Brooklyn. So I'll pick that up, read that first, and then read this one because it comes. But apparently the film Brooklyn, which is an adaptation of this author's book, Brooklyn, is very true to the book. So I could just technically watch that, but then I feel like I need to read it. So yeah, if anyone has read Brooklyn and Long Island, let me know. These books are piling up, aren't they? Then, I don't know why I picked this up. It's Alexander McCall Smith, who I've often liked his kind of cozies, but I realised he's got like a Scandi Noir series. Hence the dots above his A, which isn't his actual name. So now I'm starting to wonder if he's just appropriating Scandi Noir. How do I feel about this? I don't know. So it says, the girl with a dragon tattoo introduced us to Scandi Noir. Agree, loved it, recommend the whole trilogy. Now welcome Alexander McCall Smith's world of Scandi Blanc. Olgverg works in Malmo's department of sensitive crimes. Like all Scandinavian detectives, he has issues. In his case, these include unresolved feelings for his colleague Anna, his impatience over the seemingly incompetence of his irritating colleague Blomquist, can't say it, and his concerns for the health of his hearing-impaired dog Martin, the only dog in Sweden, and possibly all of Scandinavia, who is able to lip read in Swedish. Do you know, this just sounds like fun, cosy vibes, so I think this is why I picked it up. It says at the back, you'd be surprised, Dr. Spanson, at how odd people can be. Yes, even in your profession, where you hear all sorts of dark secrets from your patients day in and day out, even you'd be surprised. Has anyone, so it's a Detective Varg novel, so I think this is a series that he has either just started or has more books of, and this is the first one. This is going to topple, isn't it? It's going to topple. And last but not least, one that I think someone either mentioned here or on Book Talk, and I was desperate to pick up, is called The Centre. Firstly, look at this cover. Terrifying. Welcome to the Centre. You'll never be the same. It's by Ayesha Manazir Siddiqi, and this Black Mirror take on the world of language opens up questions of cultural appropriation, memory, and privilege. In short, right, you've got a main character called Anissa, and she wants to become a translator of great works of literature, but right now she's kind of stuck in her London flat writing subtitles for Hollywood Bollywood films. Then she's told about the centre on elite invite-only programme that guarantees complete fluency in any language in just 10 days. So just by all that it could make possible, Anissa and Rose, but the centre services come at a disturbing hidden cost. Still, is it worth it, right? After all, success comes at a price. I'm very excited about this. It's giving me total Black Mirror vibes. I've decided that obviously anything that says Black Mirror-esque, I'm absolutely picking up. It says, the most fascinating debut I've read in years, enigmatic, biting, absurd, and right when you think you've got it figured out, utterly horrifying. Yeah, I'm here for that. So, as you can tell, I think my glass is going to fall off my head. I have a lot of books to tell you about today. Oh, like there's even two that two that haven't made it on the list yet. There's that one on the list. They have made it on the list, but they've not made it in the stack. I just realised that I can't pick these up without them falling all over. So I'm going to say, try and pick you up. Yeah, yeah. Oh, this isn't working. I'm just going to hold on to all of these because I know if I let go of them, the entire thing's going to fall, so I don't want that happening right now. What I want to say is, any of these books, have you read them? Do you want to read them? Which one should I read first? Also, if you've got this far through my rambling book haul, give me a stack of book emojis. Yeah. And if you've hauled any books recently, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Library, secondhand, new, whatever's. So we can chat about books. Anywho's, for now, until next time. Thanks for watching, for liking, for commenting, and for subscribing. And I'll see you in another bookish vlog very soon.